because you have so little faith. Truly I tell you, if you have faith as small as a mustard seed, you can say to this mountain, move from here to there, and it will move. Nothing will be impossible for you.
Okay. Alrighty. Ready. Are set. So.
I can feel a change in the wind. I can change your heart if you let me in. Do you believe we'll do incredible things? Soar above with incredible wings. All I need is all that you
Alright, there we go. Drop of what's in your heart. Once I bled you dry, that's when we can start. Do you believe we'll do incredible things? Soar above all with incredible wings. All I need is all that you can give. Change this camera. There we are. Hello, 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 everybody. Welcome back. Hopefully everybody's going to start to trickle in here. We're going to be starting in roughly a little over 10 minutes. But hopefully everybody who's be coming in here, hopefully everybody is doing well. Please go ahead and pop in with a message if you're here. Alright, I can certainly wait. That is not a problem. Alright, stuff. Can't believe this is still going. Shouldn't be surprised though. Yeah, that's pretty funny. Oh, yeah. Probably would need that. Hey, Maria, how are you doing today?
Are you doing well today? Good afternoon. Well, where I'm at, good afternoon. Good, good. What you been up to? I'm doing wonderful. A little refreshed. Kind of half and half, I guess. I probably should have gotten more rest yesterday, to be perfectly honest. I stayed up because my body's schedule for sleep is like all out of whack. But, well, I guess that's what I deserve after this weekend. A little. So with a little bit more rest, I think I'll be a bit better. I probably need to stretch out though too. What did you do this weekend? Did you have a nice Easter holiday weekend? Oh, Easter there is in May. Oh wow. Okay, so it's in another couple months. Oh wow. It's pretty late. Well, I guess in comparison, every country has their own different way of celebrating Easter. Respect there. In any case, did you have a wonderful weekend nonetheless? I guess that's the most important thing. I'll ask you in May how your Easter was then, to be fair. It was fun. Good. You got to see your boyfriend. Wonderful. Great. Has it been a while since you saw your boyfriend? Maybe pandemic or something's been keeping you apart, which is totally understandable. I know that sometimes it can be hard to go see people, loved ones, especially in this environment. So if it's been a while, then completely understandable. Otherwise, if it's just like, hey, I got to hang out with my boyfriend again, I'd be like, wow, that's really good. At least you had a nice weekend just hanging around with somebody you certainly love. Nothing wrong with that at all. Oh, really? Oof. Oh, no. He's infected. Oh, no. So he had to stay in isolation for like 2 weeks, right? Until he got better. Okay, that's good. I'm happy to hear that he's feeling fine. Honestly speaking, Maria, I don't wish COVID on anyone. All right, and that definitely includes your boyfriend. That is not fun to have. I had a friend who also was infected with COVID. That was not fun at all. I don't know if you guys have access to vaccines where you're at just yet, but hopefully he'll have one of the first cracks at getting the vaccine, so that way he doesn't get reinfected again. So, oh, that's good. Would definitely be in your best interest if your boyfriend got vaccinated as well as soon as possible, once it is possible. I got actually this weekend I got vaccinated, my second vaccine shot, so I'm actually fully vaccinated. That's what really ruined my sleep schedule, but it was worth it if my body's going to produce the necessary response, all the antibodies and stuff. You have to wait 2 months to get vaccinated. Oh, right. That's right. There is that time thing. That's right. You do have to wait. It's like 60 days. Well, hopefully right after that time frame is done. You're on the waiting list? Yeah. More than likely, your boyfriend's going to get priority since he's been infected. So once he waits his requisite 60 days, then he'll probably be put on the list ahead of, and then he'll probably get his shots first. Probably. I try and get those people in first, but I hope that you and your boyfriend will be able to get vaccinated soon, and that way you guys don't have to worry about things like this. You guys can sit and chill and do whatever you want on any weekend. I think that's fine. Hey, Susan! Susan, how we doing today? How we doing today? I hope we're doing good. I'm still a little wonky, Susan, from my sleep schedule. So thought I was doing good this morning, and then yeah, my body is just like, woo. You had to take the second vaccine on a Friday, and then you got the wonky schedule on a Saturday and Sunday, and then look what happened. So that's just what happens. I'm like, all right. Good but tired. It was the weekend. I got the second shot, Susan. I got the second shot. So when you get the second shot of the vaccine, right? So I guess this is like a PSA to most people here. But the second shot is fairly different than the first shot. So when I got the first shot, right? They make you sit in a room for 10-15 minutes. I got a little dizzy, right? But you know, I sat for another 15 minutes and I was like, okay, the dizziness went away. It wasn't too bad. Second shot's a different story. Your body is trying to basically create the antibodies that's important to fight off any future possible infections for COVID. So, there will be, again, there are some consequences for it doing so. And when you get your shot, your symptoms may manifest 12 to 18 hours after that second shot. But you may get like a fever, slight fever, some nausea, some fatigue, some pretty onset fatigue. May get a headache. That's kind of what I felt, you know, nausea, fatigue, fever, headache. It was, I felt a little sore. So it was like, basically, I was just putting myself in bed rest for like a day and a half or so to kind of get back to normal. My sleep schedule got all mixed up because of that fact. So I think I woke up at like 8:30 last night, and then I stayed up until 1 o'clock or something, and then I slept for like I couldn't get to sleep for like an hour and a half or so. So I've been like 2.5 hours worth of sleep in the past like 24 hours. Maybe something like that. Can't say it's healthy. But yeah, do prepare actually for your second shot, especially prepare like a day off or so, day or two off, so that way you can rest up and let your body go through the natural processes. Yeah, no, that's perfectly fine. Soreness on your arm is good. I got Moderna. I got the Moderna vaccine. So the Moderna vaccine has that kind of effect. Pretty sure Pfizer and J&J is the same dealio. So maybe not the J&J one, but certainly that. So yeah, just don't be surprised if you need to take a day off from work or a day off from school and be like, hey, I just need to stay in bed. I just need to rest up. You're gonna feel crummy for like a day, but most of it passes. And you just need to take some Tylenol, acetaminophen. Just don't take aspirin and naproxen. I think you'll be fine. To get the second dose. Mazdy, what's good? What's good is that you're here. That's what's good. How you been, Mazdy? My dude, Massimo. You've been existing as well as procrastinating, my man. If you're gonna procrastinate, at least do it proper. However, do it proper where it doesn't make me too mad. That would be nice. Please. See, there's a definite limit. If you're gonna procrastinate, that's fine. But then if you make me mad, then that's not fine. And then we got problems. I don't like to go to my Professor Chib's side. That's not so nice. Okay, the not so nice Professor Chib's is like here. I got my boy here. Got my boy here, Monokuma. All right, this my boy right here, Monokuma. Monokuma knows exactly how I feel. All right. Most days I'm this nice peachy white side, you know, and then some days, of course, you don't want to be on this side. Woo! You don't want to be on that dark side of Monokuma. Actually, admittingly, this plushie is super cute. Even though the character himself is really sadistic and really mean. Yeah, this actually plushie is really adorable. You just finished the trilogy a few weeks ago. Yeah, you know, I watched a playthrough of the entire trilogy. Monokuma is from the video game series Danganronpa. Um, I never played it, but I watched the whole playthrough of the entire trilogy, and I absolutely loved it. It's absolutely fantastic. So, and I just love the story. I love the story. Absolutely love the story. So it's really fascinating to watch, like, you know, 3 murder mysteries and an ongoing plot, you know, absolutely, you know, absolutely culminate in something, you know, fantastic. I'm telling you, the storytellers really knew what they were doing from game to game. It's just really, really fascinating. Especially, you know, well, I know I don't have a favorite student. I don't like Makoto. So, I don't know why I'm just not a Makoto guy. I mean, Junko's really fun. Junko is like one of those characters you can learn to hate Junko, but at the same time you're like, you know, you kind of can sympathize a little bit with Junko. So, I mean, even if the murders are brutal, right? I mean, that there's a motivation there, and it's like, okay, if you look at it from her perspective, like in the first game and things like that, it's like, okay, there is a particular reason why Junko is the way that she is. You know, of course, as you keep going down the trilogy, more the characters get more and more outlandish, right? In terms of their extremes. You know, the first one there had the best batch of students, in my opinion. Yeah, the characters are super wild and they're very extreme. Like, what was it? Was Akane from the second or third game? She was like the athletic nut, right? Yeah, her character was like way out of control. You remember the athletic girl? She was from the on the beach scenario. I think that was the second game or third game, and I think it was. I think I want to say it was the second game. I think so. Yeah, Akane. Yeah, and yeah, just her personality is like super extreme and way over the top for like an athletic girl. Like her character really sticks out because she's just kind of like that character that kind of exemplifies all the other characters. Like they're on one end of the spectrum or the other. And considering how hot-blooded that Akane is at like all times, it's it pretty much just tells you about pretty much every character in that series. Holly, hello. How you doing, Holly? How was your weekend, Holly? Alrighty. We're getting a few more people in here. Alrighty. Doing good here, doing good. Alright. I'm doing very good, Holly. I hope you had a nice weekend. Everybody's got hopefully you had a good weekend as well. My sleep schedule's still kind of messed up, so you'll have to pardon me here today. Um, so my sleep schedule's way messed up. So hey Natty, how you doing? I hope you're doing well, Natty, here today. Hopefully you had a wonderful weekend as well. How many sections do we have in there? Actually, yeah, that sounds. Okay. I want to say. Yeah, my weekend was a little messy, but it turned out to be pretty okay. Once everything was said and done, anyway. I need to check that. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. So, okay. Right. Make sure about that. Perfect. Got it. All right, everybody, let's get going here. I think we're a little bit over time, but that's fine. We be all right. Get going here. We'll be set to go. We're just sitting and chilling and having a nice time. Okay, let's do this. Let's see here. Where is this thing? Oh, there it is. All right, let's go ahead and do this here. All right, let's do some intros. Let's get going here, and then we'll all right. Okay, let's get started today. Welcome back to Monday. Hopefully a nice weekend. All right. So today, ladies and gentlemen, if you were here a little earlier, you would have heard me say this already, but just as a little PSA announcement here, I did get my second vaccine shot over the weekend. All right, so I did go through a gamut of a few symptoms there as my body was building up some antibodies against the nasty COVID stuff. Right, so felt pretty tired, had a slight fever, nausea, uh, was pretty sore. I was just like, oof. It was a little oof for about a day and a half. So I rested quite a bit for the past day and a half. Um, so I thought I woke up at like 2:30 this morning, but I think I woke up actually at 8:30 last night. I think I stayed up until my first two classes, which is at 1, and I couldn't get to sleep until 2:30. And then I woke up at like 5, so I'm kind of running on fumes. It's like I'm running on 2.5 hours of sleep, maybe 2.5 hours to 3 hours worth of sleep in the past 24 hours or so. So I'm currently still running on fumes a little bit. Um, I'm gonna try my best here. Just be honest with you. So, so what I'm gonna do here is, in order to make sure that you don't catch me nodding off on the stream because of the fact that, yeah, you know what, I'm a 41-year-old man and I just do like 41-year-old man things and all that jazz. I may just end up doing just the one section here today, and then we can finish off section 10.4. Now, to give you context here about where we're at the very least, I can at least give you that right now. We're going to finish up section 10.3 here today. We'll finish up section 10.4 here for next time. 10.4 is a different section altogether. It does have new content. And then we'll head into chapter 11 after that. Chapter 11 is 3 sections, and then chapter 12 will also be 3 sections, which is 6 sections altogether. Now, technically, after today, we have like 12 classes left, so that should give us plenty of time to talk about that last test in the final exam. So we're in really, really good shape in terms of pacing and where we need to be in terms of the course material. So once again, once chapter 12 is done, we're effectively done with any new material here in the textbook. All right, so I'm just giving you a heads up here, so that way at least you're aware about what's going on. Okay? All right, so at least you don't have to worry about saying, oh, I don't know when this is over. Yeah, we're getting into the home stretch here, sir, most definitely. And we got like a month and a half left, and then you guys can say this class smells and then walk away. So that should work out just fine. No. Are there any questions, by the way, about that? Hopefully everybody's cool. Any questions? Hey, FD, how you doing? Nope. Okay. Noper was probably more correct. I ain't gonna lie. Okay. Look, like I said, full disclosure. I always want to be good. Good reviews for you is what I'm hearing. What? I'm kind of confused, Susan. What does that mean? Can you shout out my maid, Aiken, please? I mean, I can, sure. I just did. Oh, yeah, rate my professor. Yeah, that's right. Were there new reviews put on there? I'm pretty sure I had some people in my first couple classes say that they'll put nice reviews on there. Again, I don't force people to put anything. They do whatever they want. So you don't get a good grade regardless of whatever you put on there. Thanks, Aiken appreciates it. Okay, we'll go with that. I've been pretty good, FD. I hope you've been doing good, my friend. I know it's been a while since I last saw you here, so hopefully you've been doing good. Hopefully non-league football is going to make its way back. Hopefully official games will be starting soon, as opposed to just practice. Yeah, if you want to put me on Rate My Professor, by the way, you could choose to do so. Like I said, I'm not going to tell you you should or shouldn't. If you feel like I deserve a nice rating, go ahead and put a nice rating. If you think that I don't, then you go ahead and say that I don't and that I smell bad. So either way, you could say, you could give like the most common criticism needs more deodorant. I said that's fine. I don't have a problem with that. All right, so um, you gotta, either way, you can put in whatever you want. What do I smell like? What do I smell like? Well, I'll put it this way. Stereotypically, Maria, I smell like curry because I gotta meet at least some kind of standard, right? That's the important part. If I'm gonna go with the stereotypical smell, all right. Um, uh, Realistically, I smell like Dove, Dove soap. The oh dear pun. That's true. Do I like raisins? How does a date sound? Oh, that's so nice. I definitely like raisins. And dates are really good. They're actually rather delicious. That sounds delicious, the curry. I may smell like it, but curry the food is actually delicious, yes. Curry the smell coming from someone else necessarily may not be too delicious. Oh, yes, Ollie Bowl here. That's right. Do I know hashtag? Well, Thomas, do I know hashtag? The real question is, does hashtag know me? Maybe you should switch that question around. Maybe you could ask LP. You know, maybe you could ask Spen, or maybe you could look at how many. Well, okay, and you could look at how many gifted subs I put on hashtag. So, probably not. Too funny. You guys are trolls. Favorite hashtag moment? Probably my favorite hashtag moment would have to be what was that game? One of my favorite hashtag moments was when I think it was again Walthamstow. Could have been against Walthamstow when Joshua Sude scored that last second winner. That was probably one of my favorite hashtag moments. It was just like one of those things like that could bring a whole team together. Um, when Joshua Sude scored that last minute winner. Yeah, I love Joshua Sude. So yeah, that guy looks pretty chill. Mass is fun indeed. Is Tom a pigeon? Is that a rhetorical question? Of course, Tom is a pigeon. My friend, Tom has always been a pigeon. Is Shaw Dog a crab? That's pretty obvious. Shaw Dog is a crab. Okay, got that hands, man. There you go, like this. All right. Well, let's get going here, ladies and gentlemen. We got some work to do. All right. Let's get going with some new material here today, ladies and gentlemen. Today, ladies and gentlemen, we have a more hypothesis testing to do here today. Now, if you weren't here for the last section here last week, this will give you a nice reminder here about what we did last week in terms of hypothesis testing. All right. Sorry, my dude. I gotta earn the money. All right. All right. So let's go to the big board here. We're going to answer the first half of the handout here from Chapter 10, which is going to be Section 10.3, which is going to talk about another type of hypothesis testing here. All right, this time we're just going to be changing up the context here just a little bit. However, the approach that we're going to be taking is not going to be any different than the approach that we took here back in Section 10.2. So this is why this is a good reminder to be like, oh, okay, we did this kind of something similar here back in Section 10.2. Now we're just kind of applying it in a slightly different circumstance, okay? Just a slightly different circumstance. All right, so let's take a good look here at this first part. So what assumptions must we make to do a hypothesis test of a population mean when the standard deviation is unknown? Okay, now again, let's talk about what type of standard deviation we're talking about here. This is the population standard deviation. So we don't know the population standard deviation, but we do have a sample that we're working with here that we can hopefully use and extrapolate with to test against some random claim that we have here at the end of the day. Okay, so we're going to make we need three assumptions that need to be true here in order for us to do this proper hypothesis testing. Let's take a look at those three right now. First of all, the sample has to be a simple random sample. Okay, so it has to be a simple random sample or a randomized experiment. Again, as long as it has enough randomization or it's a simple random sample, everything should be on the up and up. Seems fine. Letter B, the sample has no outliers, and the population from the sample could be drawn from a normally distributed population. So, or n has to be sufficiently large, so it has to be a big enough sample size. So typically, in this case, n has to be bigger than or equal to 30. All right, so it could follow any one of those three conditions there. But again, if you want to be super extra safe, make sure you have like a sample size that's bigger than or equal to 30. All right, if you don't have the first two. Okay, so that's one way. Again, you have a it's like what we talked about here last time. Again, 10 people's opinions are not going to tell you anything for an entire population full of people. But 100 people is certainly going to tell you a little bit more and get you more possible accurate results. Okay, so it's not exact, of course, but it's possible to get a slightly a bit more accurate the higher that n goes. Okay, so there's only going to be two questions we're going to be covering here today. All right, so that's what makes this this section here rather quick. All right, so let's take a look at number 2. How do we perform a hypothesis test using the p-value method when the population standard deviation is unknown? All right, so we're going to go down the list here. All right, we're going to do this one step at a time with an example. And we'll put everything here together. And again, a lot of the things that you already see here on the screen is pretty much the same things that we talked about here before in the last section here in section 10.2. So what we did in 10.2 is going to be pretty similar to what we're going to be doing here in section 10.3. All right, so let's go ahead and do that together here with an example in tow. At least there was an example, though. That's not an example. That's a login screen. Not necessary. All right. Like I have an example. I better give it. All right. Okay. Let's take a good look here. Let's take a good look here. Number 17 in the textbook here. Let me actually make this a. All right. So we're going to do number 17 here. We'll look at this together here, and we'll see exactly how we can get this done. All right. So a Fair Isaac Corporation FICO score is used by credit agencies such as mortgage companies and banks to assess the credit worthiness of individuals. Values range from 300 to 850 with a FICO score of over 700 considered to be a quality credit risk. According to Fair Isaac Corporation, the mean FICO score is 703.5. A credit analyst wondering whether high-income individuals, incomes in excess of 100K per year, had higher credit scores. He obtained the random sample of 40 high-income individuals and found that the sample mean credit scores to be 714.2 with a standard deviation of 83.2. I conducted the appropriate test to determine high-income individuals have a higher FICO score at a 0.05 level of significance. Okay, so one of the things that we want to take away from this, first of all, is again, we're working with, in this case, FICO credit scores. So I don't know if how good is everybody's credit here, but FICO scores, at least in the United States, are very important here in order for you to qualify for, say, borrowing money, i.e., credit. All right, so you need a pretty good score in order to not get a high interest that you have to pay back the money. So the higher the score, the better terms that you can get on any loan or mortgage in the future. So always having good credit is very important. So I was always wary about getting a credit card, to be perfectly honest. I didn't get my first credit card until I was 30. So that was something that I decided to do. So I waited quite a while. And even then, I was very cautious about my first card. So I had to be very, very careful. So I don't know if some of you do. Some of you have a credit card or no? We'll put a little poll here. Do you have a credit card? Credit card. And again, the answer is simple yes or no. So again, I'll put a little poll on the top here. You can go ahead and mark that down. Do you have a credit card? A yes or no? It's not too much of a fancy question here. Like some of you said no, it's fine. So let's see, 3 of you said yes, 2 of you said no. All right, again, there's a poll up top here on the top of chat. Go ahead and add in, a few yes or no questions. Simple enough. Okay, so it looks like at least at this point here, 4 of you have yes, have a credit card. 2 of you have no. All right. If you don't have a credit card, make sure you at least start off small before you get bigger. So, meaning to say, get a credit card, get a good starter card here that has a very low credit limit. My first credit card limit was $500. So $500 was a very good credit limit. I could easily pay off $500 and I could easily manage it. And only when I was able to be a little bit more responsible did I start working my way up from that $500 and expand my credit limit more. Though technically after the first month, you don't need to do any more with your credit card. So I intentionally actually I should say this, full disclosure here. So on the first credit card application that I had is that I lied on my first credit card application. So I just lied, right? So I lied on my credit card application. So the thing is that I didn't lie. Well, I'll put it this way. It may not be in the way that you think. Um, so what I did was is I basically in the United States the system is really stupid in terms of how to build up credit, right? It actually doesn't have much logic to it, right? Um so what I did is I didn't lie the way that you think I did. All right? So most people would lie and says, "Yeah, you know what? I want to have a bigger credit line or whatever." Instead, what I did was I lied to get the smallest credit line possible, which I knew at the time was 500 bucks. All right? So, I actually did things in the opposite direction. And the reason why I did things in the opposite direction here was because of the fact that not only was $500, of course, easier to handle, but the way things are computed here underneath at least your FICO score and the way credit unions work is that they look at your account activity. They don't necessarily look at necessarily the amount that's on your credit line. Um, not completely, anyway. So I said if I spend it to the max in the first month, it's super easy to pay down, say, 90% or 100% of that. So I paid it down 90%. I paid it down to $450, which was super easy for $500 credit line. So I spent it to the max. I then gave $450. I still had a credit on my account, which was fine. As long as I held a debt, that meant positive points for my credit score, which at that point was pretty bad. So I was trying to build it up over time. So then I intentionally kept my balance low, but really the first month establishes the pattern of behavior they kind of expect. And so they're like, "Oh, well, you can maintain a credit because you're at the 10% threshold or below of your maximum credit of the maximum credit you can have on your credit card. So yeah, we're going to give you positive points for that." So essentially at the end of the day, I was manipulating the system in order to work in my favor to get a better credit score as fast as possible. Eventually, they kept bumping up my credit, but by that point, it doesn't matter because I'd already set out to do what I wanted to do in the first month, and then I could use the credit card forever I want every single month. So I would have to use it on maybe spending it on gas or whatever. Doesn't really matter. So I don't like max out the credit card at any time. And the amount that I put on the credit card is easy enough where I can easily pay it back without having to suffer through any penalties. So um, that's why I went ahead and lied on my credit card application was not to get more, was to actually get less and give myself the biggest benefit. So using math to basically game the system, never never a bad thing. Pretty easy, I must say. All right. Let's take a good look at our question here. You're probably like, what? Holy smokes. Be like, yeah. I wish laws here made a lot of sense in terms of determining your credit score, but they don't. Okay. So let's take a good look here at, I'm going to move this over here. All right, so let's look at each step here on how we can find the p-value here and using the p-value method when the standard population standard deviation is unknown. First step here, step 1, determine the null and alternate hypothesis. So in this particular case here, let's talk about the null hypothesis. All right, so the null hypothesis here is going to be where we have this u is going to equal the population mean. All right, so whatever the population mean is, that's going to be our null hypothesis. So taking a look at our question here, all right, let's look at our null hypothesis here. What is our null hypothesis according to the problem? So according to the problem here, what is our null hypothesis? What is this u going to equal here? According to our problem that we see here on the screen. What is H0? What's that going to be here according to this problem? What is the population mean here? Okay, so according to FICO, the mean credit score is 703.5. Okay, good. That's correct. Very nice. All right. So we're going to put 703.5 here. That was the population mean, right? That was established here according to the problem. All right, fine. Sounds fair to me. All right. Let's go to the next part here, which is H1. That is the alternate hypothesis. Remember that the alternate hypothesis here is dependent on what exactly we want to find. Okay, now give yourselves a nice friendly reminder here. We have one of three types of alternate hypothesis, either less than the population mean, bigger than the population mean, or not equal to the population mean. So according to the wording of our problem here, what is our alternate hypothesis going to be? Put down the same two guys here. We need to have our guy here. So is it going to be less than, is it going to be bigger than, or is it going to be not equal to? What's the claim that this person is trying to make? Okay, bigger than? Why is it bigger than, Natty? Okay, so Beth also says bigger than. So where's the indication that it's bigger than? What's the key words there that it says determined hiders have higher FICO scores. Okay, very good. All right, so both of you are correct there, Beth and Natty. Excellent. All right, and that is exactly the correct reasoning. All right, so we want to look at the last line here. It says determine if high-income individuals have higher FICO credit scores at the 0.05 level of significance. So again, since we're looking at higher credit scores here, this has to be bigger than at the end of the day. Okay, seems fair. All right, no problem. All right. Okay, let's look at step number 2. Now that we found our null and alternate hypotheses, well, what is going to be the type of test do we have here? So according to what we have here, what's the type of test that we have here in this instance? We have a left tail, right tail, or two-tail test. Based on our alternate hypothesis, do we have a left tail, right tail, or two-tail type of test? A right tail, that's right. Right, because it's bigger than, right? So we said it's higher, so we now know that it's a right tail test. Remember that bigger than here represents a right tail test. All right, so if you're not sure, again, just make sure you write that down. Now, we did talk about this last time here. Bigger than represents right tail. Less than means left tail. Not equal to means two tail. Of course, we're going to come back to this type of test here near the end, but we're just going to mark it down for right now. That way we have it in our back pocket once we need to use it. Okay. Step 3 here, state the level of significance. Now, again, the level of significance here is given to you in the problem here. So that's the 0.05 that we have here, this instance. So I'm just going to write that in outright. That's just, again, one of those things that's just given to you. No problem. You know, easy peasy lemon squeezy. So, yeah, sure. It'll work. All right. Okay, so that's the first 3 steps done. All right. Let's move on to the next step here, as I do need to show this off. All right, step number 4. Now, this is, again, something that you may want to write down just to help yourself out with the conclusion of this. All right, so just like step 4 here in the last section, we have to compute a test statistic. Now, the formula here for the test statistic is different than the test statistic that we had here for section 10.2. But let's go through this here together for the test stat, and we're going to see exactly what this is equal to, while at the same time finding the p-value here. So the test stat here, which is t0, is equal to x bar, which is the sample mean, minus the population mean, divided by the sample standard deviation, divided by the square root of the sample size. So if we were to follow this, let's follow this here for just a moment. I'll reference the textbook here. Okay, so we have a little bit of information that we're going to need to play fill in the blanks with, okay? So first and foremost, we have x bar here, which is the sample mean. So if we want the test stat here, let's go back. Step 4 here. type in test stat. So our sample mean, according to our problem here, is going to be 714.2. This is our sample mean. We took a random sample, 40 people. This is what we got. Okay, so 714.2. We're going to subtract the population mean, which we have here up top, of 703.5. We're going to divide that by the sample standard deviation, which is given to us here as 83.2. All right, and we're going to divide that by the square root of the sample size, which we'll go back here for just a moment. And there are 40 people that we checked here for this study. Square root of 40. Now, as was mentioned here last week, we're not actually going to enter this into the calculator. Remember, we're going to find this at the same time that we find the p-value here simultaneously. All right, so we're not going to go ahead and you don't have to enter this in the calculator. If you want to, you can, but it's really not that necessary because of what we're going to be doing next here. But you do have the work here shown out. So if there are certain homework problems that ask you to show out the work and where to plug stuff in, you know where they need to go in order to replicate those answers. Okay, so make sure we cover all our bases here. All right, make sure that we can justify where we get that result from, just in case. Okay. Are there any questions so far? Any questions? No? Okay, good so far? Okay. And feel free to stop me if I'm going too fast. But nothing should be much different than what we've talked about from before. All right. So let's look at step 5. Step 5 says use the calculator here. I'm going to be using a slightly different calculator function, though, compared to last time, to determine the p-value. Okay, so let's take out our calculator here. All right, and we're going to go ahead and go to the t-test function here, this instance, to go ahead and find the respective p-value, as well as the test stat that we just go ahead and filled in the blanks for. Okay, so let's bring out our calculator here. All right. So the first thing that we want to do here on the calculator is we want to go ahead and hit the stat key on our calculator. Let's hit the stat key on our calculator here, and let's go over to tests. Now we're going to go to number 2. Okay, so number 2 here on our calculator is going to be our main focus here for the day, which is t-test. Okay, so number 2, t-test. Okay, that's what we're going to be using here in this instance. Go to t-test here, we'll hit enter. Okay, now this should look fairly familiar from what we did last time here. You could be either given a set of data or you could be given stats here, depending on the situation and circumstance. In this particular example anyway, we're given a set of stats. Okay, so we want to highlight stats and we want to go ahead and hit enter. Okay, so let's go ahead and enter in the data here, or the stats here, excuse me, from what we're given in the problem. And then let's see what we get here at the end of the day. So first of all, we have the population standard deviation. So that's going to be 703.5. That's what we get there first. Then we have the sample mean, which is 714.2. The sample standard deviation, which is 83.2. And a sample size of 40. Don't forget, we have this line right here, which talks about what type of test that we have. Remember that it goes two-tail, left tail, right tail. Now, since we have a right tail test in step number 2, we're going to go ahead and highlight that and hit enter. And then we go to calculate, and we'll hit enter. Okay. All right, so this is what I have here on the screen. Want to be sure here everybody's on the same page. So please type done in the chat if you have the same exact numbers that I have up here on the screen. Please type done in the chat if you have the same exact numbers that I have on the screen. All right. Anybody else need help, or everybody okay? I want to be sure that everybody is on the same page. Done. Okay, Holly's done. Good. Mazdi, how you doing? Your menu looks kind of weird. Let's go back again, Mazdi. Did you hit the stat key? Just hit the stat key. Maybe you hit second in stat, maybe that's the problem. So just hit the stat key here, and this is what it should look like. Then you need to go over to tests and go to number 2. Then you need to go and scroll from data over to stats and hit enter. And then you'll be in the same little submenu that we had. And then you can enter in all your numbers. Let me know once you got that there. Anybody else need any more help with their calculator there? Got it? Okay, good. All right, good stuff. All right, now that Mazdi's with us, that's good. All right. If anybody else needs any more help, just let me know. Okay, now we're going to take away a couple of things from here for sure. First of all, there's the p-value. So the p-value that we get here, as you can see, is underneath p. That's 0.2105. So we have that. We are also given the test stat here, 0.8134. Okay, so here we found the test stat here, as well as the p-value here simultaneously by doing the t-test here in this problem. All right, sounds good. Now, let's focus on the last part here, the last step here. Let's look at step number 6. Step 6 says make a conclusion. Is that all right? Fine. What's the conclusion here? Again, the same conclusion that we discussed here last time. So notice that step 6 is no different than what we discussed here last time. all we need to do is compare the p-value to the level of significance. If that p-value is less than the level of significance, reject the null and accept the alternate. Otherwise, we accept the null and reject the alternate. Simple, seems fair, no problem. So all we have to do here is, again, we're going to now use our level of significance that we defined here in step number 3. And now we can use it with our p-value that we just found here in step number 5. So we first have to answer the question here, is 0.2105, is this less than 0.05? So yes or no, is 0.2105 less than 0.05? No, right? Definitely not, right? So because this is not, in this case here, we're going to go ahead and go to the second circumstance here. We're going to accept the null hypothesis and reject the alternate. Okay. And that's what we have here for this particular example. All right, good stuff. Any questions so far? Nope. All right. All right. Let's go ahead and take a look at another example, and we'll follow these same steps here. We'll just do it with a slightly different example. That should be fine. Second example. Okay. All right, so we're going to do number 22 here. I wonder if that's actually, check if that. Yeah, that's mine. All right. Let's look at number 22 here, and we'll go ahead and see exactly how this one works. All right, so Michael Sullivan, son of the author, decided to enroll in a reading course that allegedly increases reading speed and comprehension. Prior to enrolling in the course, Michael read 198 words per minute. The following data represents the words per minute read for 10 different passages read after the course. Okay, so here are 10 different reading speeds, okay, from 10 different passages. Seems fair. What we're going to answer is we're going to kind of skip the first part there, but let's go to letter B. Was the class effective? Use the 0.10 level of significance. So was the class effective? Did the class help Michael read faster? Okay, that's basically what it's asking. All right. Let's go over the steps here. Go ahead and see how this will work out. All right, so step 1, let's make our null and alternate hypotheses here again. What's our null hypothesis going to be? What's our null hypothesis going to be here for this problem? Can anybody tell me? It's our baseline here that we're working with. It's our null hypothesis. So you're saying that 10 different passages you read after the course. You're guessing numbers here, Natty. I want you to read carefully. 198. Okay. All right, so 198 is correct, right? Because before Michael started the class, he read at a baseline of 198 words per minute. Okay, so he hasn't even started the course yet, but this is we want to see. Hey, want to see did he improve? Yes or no, right? And so 198 is where he started from. All right, that's fair. All right, so just got to be careful here. 10, by the way, would represent the sample size. So that's why I'm kind of a little stickler about that one because of the fact that you got to read this carefully here in order to determine what baseline you want. 10 doesn't really affect anything in terms of the null hypothesis here anyway. So 10 is just the sample size that we have. We have 10 different reading speeds for 10 different passages. So yeah, I know. Sometimes I'll be like that, Nadia. It's not like trust me, it's not a knock against you. It's just like, hey, we got to get rid of these mistakes, or you just can't guess at everything. Otherwise, that's again clinging like monkey poo against the wall and hoping that it sticks. All right, so we obviously don't want that. Once you get into that territory, then it's no bueno. It's definitely no bueno for anyone involved. That's the last thing I would like people to do. Okay, let's look at H1 here then. All right, so which is the alternate hypothesis? The alternate hypothesis here, again, we're going to use 198 as our backdrop here. Do we want this less than, bigger than, or not equal to? You want that less than, bigger than, or not equal to? Okay. The answer definitely is bigger than. That's right, Mazdi. Very nice. All right, so the answer definitely works here. So again, it must be bigger than here. The reason why is because it says, was the class effective? Okay, basically saying, did he improve, right? Was it effective? Did it work, right? Did taking this random speed reading class, did it actually really help him in the long run? Was he better? So that's why in this case here, it will be bigger than. So the way the way, again, you have to be careful about the wording here, right? When it says effective, in this case, it says, did he read faster than what he was at before? So bigger than makes the most amount of sense. Okay. Step 2 here talks about the type of test. What type of test do we have here? We have a left tail, right tail, two tail. Okay, good. That's right. We have a right tail test. All right. So now that we know that, we should be good to go there. Okay. All right. Now, step 3 here, we're going to look at the level of significance. Now, we're given here, in this case, we'll just write this out. This is 0.10. That's just given to us here in the problem. So, no problem there. And that's all we got to do for that part. Okay. Yes. Okay. Now, let's look at step number 4 here. Step number 4 is normally to find the test statistic here. Okay. So to find the test statistic here, normally we would have to go and find all the pieces and plug them into the formula here. Now this is the one type of problem that I do want to kind of point out here for just a moment. All right. And that is, again, we're not given any of that information here whatsoever. We're given a data set of just the reading speeds that he did for these 10 different passages, but really not a whole lot of anything else. Okay, so in this case here, if we want to find the test stat, in this case, you don't need to actually write in the data for this because we're going to go ahead and do this outright on the calculator. So I'm just going to write this test stat's going to equal some number here. But we're not going to actually plug in any of the numbers here since we're not given them outright here in the problem. We will find it, of course, but once again at the same time as the p-value. Okay. Now, in this case here, since we're given a data set, let's go to our calculator here. I'm gonna go to the calculator here, and this one here actually. Give me just a second, folks. Go to my no face stream here. Okay. So the first thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and enter in the data set here into our calculator. So we're going to need to do that first before we do any of the testing stuff. So go ahead and hit the stat key here on your calculator. And we want to go to edit here. Go to edit. Make sure we get to our list here. Now, if you have stuff already that does exist in your list, go ahead and highlight the list name there, hit the clear key, and hit the enter key. That will clear out your list. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and put in all the data points there. Okay, so here are here they are. All right. So these are all the data items in the data set that we have just carefully put in to list number 1. Again, if you don't have that right now, that's okay. You could just follow from the list on the left from the book. Okay. Now, what we're going to do next here is we're going to go ahead and once you have that in your calculator, we're going to go ahead and hit the second key and the mode key. We'll quit out to the main screen here once again. We'll hit the stat key, and we're going to go over to tests once again. Go down to number 2, which is a t-test. Now the difference here in this case, though, is that we are going to go over not to stats, but we're going to go over to data. So since we're given a data set here to work with to go ahead and find stuff out with, I'm going to go over to data and hit enter there. Okay. Now we do need to fill in some blanks here for sure. First of all, we need to go ahead and fill in what our baseline is going to be, which in this case here, from our null hypothesis, that's going to be 198. Okay. The list here should be list 1. If there's nothing listed there, or if you used a different list, you can go ahead and call upon that list. Hit second and 1 for L1, or second and 2 for L2, and so on and so forth. The frequency should never be changed, so make sure to never touch this. This should always be 1, and leave it alone. Finally, the type of test, obviously two tail, left tail, right tail, just in that order again. And again, in this case here, we want to keep this where this is highlighted, as that does reflect a right tail test. And then we'll go ahead and hit calculate. Okay. Go ahead and put this over to the left here, and we can write in our values. All right. Good stuff. So let's take a good look here at our results, and I can switch back to my screen here. Okay. So let's take a look at our test stat here. So our test stat here, according to our problem, is going to be, let's see, where is it? Oh, there it is. 3.50495, so 3.5050. Okay, so test stat here is 3.5050. Okay, so that's our test stat there, given to us as our t, as you can see here, the very first one. And then finally, we have the p-value here of 0.0033. Okay. All right, so here we are given a p-value. We also found a test stat to go with that. So we should be good to go. Now all we have to do here, once again, is make our proper comparisons here. And so let's go ahead and take a look here at this. Let's take a look at this. We are given here, it says, is our p-value here 0.0033? That less than the level of significance, which is 0.10? So yes or no, is 0.0033, pardon me, is that less than 0.10? Yes or no? Okay. The answer is yes. So what can we conclude then? If the answer here is yes, right, that's definitely true. What can we conclude based off of that? Okay, very good. That's correct. We're going to reject the null hypothesis. And accept the alternate. Good. Be helpful if I wasn't. All right. Okay. And there we go. We got our final result. Okay. Nice job. Any questions about that? Any questions about that? No? All right. Hopefully that wasn't too hard. Hopefully that was easy peasy lemon squeezy. All right. So that in a nutshell is going to be the end of section 10.3. All right, and that's it. As simple as that, ladies and gentlemen. As simple as that. Hopefully, that wasn't too bad. Try and keep it as simple as possible. That's seriously all that section 10.3 has to offer. So it's pretty similar to that of section 10.2. There's really not much variation. Again, slightly different context because we're using population mean instead of a proportion. But most of the steps that we've already set the groundwork for are already the same things that we've done before. You gotta love it when at least the template works. So And you could do something similar, it's just different context. Yay, math. Yeah. Go team. All right. I told you today was going to be a bit shorter here, but yeah, that's all I got for you today. We're going to be doing the latter half of this handout here for Wednesday, which involves kind of some of the stuff we talked about at the end of Chapter 9, which involved chi-squared distributions. So we're going to be focusing on that for hypothesis testing here for our next go-around. So that might require a little bit of manual labor, a little bit. So not too much, though, I do promise you that. We're going to try and automate it as much as possible. So, but remember with the chi-squared, we had that. So, sounds good? Good, good, good. All right. All right, great job, everybody here today. I want to thank everybody here. Sounds Gucci and news. Where did I get my Monokuma? I got my Monokuma in Japan, actually. So, this guy I actually bought in Japan. So, I went there, you know, this is like a couple years old now. So, maybe 2-3 years old now. So, yeah, this guy here I bought from a store in Akihabara. So, pretty familiar with the shops around there. So, finding this was pretty easy. So, it's not hard to find once you know where to go in Akihabara. You just gotta spend. It takes like a good day or two to spend just looking and finding out those nice places. But then once you do, then you can pretty much consistently go there. It's like if you want to find the airsoft guns, then it's not hard to find that in Akihabara. It's like, yeah, let's go find the airsoft guns. All right, they're in this building on the 8th floor. All right, cool. Where to find the trains? Where do I find model trains? All right, they're on this. They're in this. They're one floor above the airsoft guns. Okay. It's like, where are you gonna find the best keychains? All right, you go to this building. Go up to the 4th floor. You're gonna find them there. Thanks, Susan. Appreciate you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much here once again for coming out here to the stream. I love all you guys here. All right, and again, as always, stay safe, stay healthy, and most importantly, everyone, stay sane. All right, take care of yourselves, everyone, and we will see you on Wednesday. All right, have a wonderful night, everyone. All right, you guys know where to find me. I'm not that hard to go ahead and look for. All right, but I appreciate your time and appreciate your efforts. All right, we'll see you in a couple days. We will see you all later. Take care, everybody. All right. Bye.